So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Jo from Return to the Self, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I got to this point in my life offering prenatal yoga teacher training. So firstly, I have now about 20 years of yoga experience. So my yoga journey started in my mid-20s. So I came into yoga with quite a lot of anxiety and quite a lot of physical pain. So I had IBS, which is a kind of when your colon is kind of alive with your emotions, and a lot of pain, and really not having any idea how to relax. So this was kind of the initiation I had into looking for ways in which I could overcome and integrate myself. I practiced a lot of different kinds of hatha yoga over the years, and I've also spent many years studying Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga. I traveled all over the world in my 20s and in my 30s, so I had the opportunity to work with quite a few different teachers, some really senior teachers. And my first 10 years were, yoga really started to become a really important part of my life, and became a way to really be myself and to experience embodiment, to really feel come back to myself, which is why I decided to call my company Return to the Self, because for me, yoga has been the opportunity to come really back into my true nature. So I got to a point in my yoga career where I'd really become a kind of a professional student. I was taking all the workshops and many yoga retreats, and I'd studied all kinds of hatha yoga, mainly Ashtanga Vinyasa, but other practices too. And I decided I had reached the point where I wanted to train. So I was really lucky that I connected with a teacher called Julie Martin. Now, Julie had a very rounded course. And she, at the time, was offering a 500-hour course. So I really immersed into my training. I trained with her, and she gave us a very big picture of yoga. So we went from restorative yoga to really deep pranayama sessions with a senior philosophy teacher called Emil Wendell, who is an amazing inspiration, has a really rich history of deep dive into yoga techniques. And, we were given the opportunity to really see yoga as a big picture, and that really informed my career. So I started teaching. When I moved to the UAE, I taught in Sharjah, and I started teaching in Sharjah Ladies Club about 12 years ago. After that, my teaching started to evolve. I taught in Dubai. And I also studied other complementary aspects of yoga, restorative yoga, kids yoga, yin yoga, and getting lots of training and information to make my classes much more relevant, much more informative. My style of teaching has always been very approachable, very insightful, and offering really my own personal experience has always been part of what I offer. And I arrived at a point where I decided that my existing career as a teacher and teacher trainer, so I used to be a language teacher trainer. I used to be training adults to teach English as a foreign language. So at that stage, I decided that it would make sense if I also stepped into the role of training teachers, soon as that was what I was already doing. So I met Peewee Sanchez in 2010, and I also took her teacher training, her 200-hour training. So, and since that time we connected and we decided to work together. So Peewee offered me the opportunity to work with her on 200-hour teacher trainings. And I worked with Peewee as part of Yoga First for about, let's say, 6 years. And we collaborated on the trainings. I brought in a focus on having very student-centered sessions to really celebrate my journey as a yoga teacher and really share deeply what I had personally experienced as a yogi. Around 2010, I decided to start my own family, but at the time I was doing two things. So I was teaching yoga whenever I could in this kind of career change phase of my life, but I was also teaching English full time. So I was kind of navigating this very giving and energy depletion stage of my life. Looking back, it's no surprise that also in this time where I was very drained and I was constantly giving to others, I also experienced 2 pregnancy losses. You know, and looking back on it, I now can kind of frame that in the picture of how I was really responding to my own needs and my own energy levels. So eventually I decided to completely drop my career as an English teacher and English teacher trainer. And I moved into a space where I was really giving myself the opportunity to really be. And I traveled, and at that point, I came back to Dubai with the intention of just being a yoga teacher and focusing on my yoga teacher career. So for me, the turning point was when I was pregnant with my 3rd baby, which was at a point in time, as you can imagine, where I would have been feeling some anxiety, where it was really, really hard for me to get through my first trimester of that pregnancy, having in the back of my head the experience of not making it through into the 2nd trimester for both of my first 2 babies. So I actually decided to take a restorative yoga teacher training during the sort of critical time. And I really think that had a massive impact on that pregnancy, who is now Caesar, my son. And I was able then to start immersing myself into pregnancy yoga and traveling deep into the experience of really being a pregnant woman. So as a yoga teacher, my natural feeling was that I would train to be a pregnancy yoga teacher. And it turned out to be really an amazing opportunity. So I studied in India with a teacher called Jodie Boone. And she was very much into natural birth. We read Ina May Gaskin as part of the course, and we watched Orgasmic Birth. We watched all kinds of empowering content. And, you know, I really was able to see myself as somebody who really could have a very deep and interesting experience during the birth. And it was something I had never really thought about until that time. So I continued really deep into yoga during that time, and I also gained a really potent insight into how it really feels to have a deep connection to the divine feminine during that time. So my experience of meditation completely changed. It was much deeper. My ability to connect to my physical body through that power of being pregnant was really something I experienced deeply. So it was really natural that I would start teaching other women prenatal yoga, and I did that for many years in Dubai. And then I arrived at the point where I created this course. So as a student, I've always been really keen to integrate not only my personal insight, but all of the experiences I've had as a student of pregnancy yoga. So not only have I studied now with Jodie, but I've taken things further. I've studied with Sally Parks, who had also a very wide and holistic course looking at all aspects of pregnancy, who introduced me to Uma Dinsmore-Tuli, who I studied with a couple of years ago, and gave me great insight into what it really means to share yoga for women who are pregnant. And, you know, some of the things which came out of that course for me were, you know, really the potency of that experience and how free we can be as a yoga teacher to integrate that our own personal experience into the classroom, to share the content in a very sacred way, and to experience the teachings and to teach in a way which emphasizes sisterhood, which emphasizes the spiritual nature of the time. So my course is really deeply informed by my work alongside Uma and Yoni Shakti, her book. And so now I also integrate Tantra into the course and integrate practices which are very potent and don't necessarily, you know, come from the male Hatha yoga lineages. So in a way, my course is kind of opening as I move into a space where I am offering a very diverse content, from pranayama to tantra to you know, to sacred rituals. So one of the other parts of the course that really makes this unique is how I also integrate other practitioners from other environments into the course. When women come to practice pregnancy yoga, it's really important for me to feel that they have a support team of practitioners around them. So for me, this the people I involve in my courses vary, but I've also had hypnobirth practitioners come and offer an insight into hypnobirthing and how that goes alongside pregnancy and postnatal yoga. I've had doulas talking about their work, a specialist on aromatherapy to talk about the essential oils and how this can be integrated into pregnancy and the postnatal period. I've had an acupuncturist offering her expertise in acupuncture for labor and for birth. And also I have a specialist in the pelvic floor come and talk about the way we can work with women and the sacred pelvic floor during the pregnancy and postnatal, to give us the really the specialist advice on how we can integrate into that into our yoga classes and into our private sessions as pregnancy yoga teachers. And the last thing I'd like to talk about from my own personal journey is how, as I've moved into the work with women, I've also moved into really connecting to the divine feminine. So as I worked with Uma, the Mahavidyas, which form the kind of the energy of Yoni Shakti, her book, they have really come into my life. So I think when I started the course, really my passion and my you know, my reason for doing the course was in my passion to empower and support women through pregnancy and birth and have a good experience, and to have an experience of choice, an experience that gave them, their baby, a gentle entry to the world. And as I've moved into the work, I've started to really see that in the context of a woman's entire life cycle. So I think it's also, this course is also an introduction to a woman's life cycle in its bigger picture and to the sacred feminine in general. So You know, as I said, if we honor woman from her first moon cycle all through her cyclical wisdom into her pregnancy, at her birth, and her postnatal period, we then go on to honor her into her wisdom years, into her menopause, and we empower really every aspect of the life stage of a woman. So in this sense, you know, my course is really placed within that sacred wisdom and those cities or those sacred portals for women. So it forms a part of my work, and it forms a really important part of my work. My intention for the course is that you come out of it feeling that you are empowered to teach women and really hold space for them during this time, and you connect to womanhood and the sacred feminine as really a yoga of yogas. Oftentimes, my teachers will say that, you know, birth is really the ultimate spiritual experience. So it's one which is almost the whole history of Hatha Yoga is almost like searching for that peak experience, that energy upward flow, the Kundalini rise, the Samadhi experience is to really reach a stage of oneness with the universe and to feel that you are connected to the source energy. And my intention with this course is to tell you that this work is that. This work is sacred union with source. It's recognizing the pregnant woman and the birthing woman, and very much the postnatal woman, are sacred portals into spiritual power. And those peak experiences, those siddhis or magical powers of womanhood are precious. And this course is really a rehoming of the sacredness of those experiences and giving women really just the feeling that they already know, that they are already in a state of yoga, and no one is giving them something, that has already been given to them in the form of the next generation and as they hold that baby. Very much looking forward to connecting with you soon, to really going on this journey together, this transformational journey as a trainee on this course, and to give you a voice in this training to express your thoughts and feelings, and everything you've experienced is truly valuable to me on this course. I designed this course to be an opportunity for you to really not feel that I'm there or any of the other trainers are there to give you something, but for you to really immerse yourself in you know, sharing your own existing knowledge, your existing feelings, and to connect to this work in a way that feels real to you. So I have 50 graduates of the course who are sharing in classes, private teachings, and some of my trainees are also not yoga teachers, and they work as doulas, as other therapists, and integrating some of the elements of this course into their work. And also very much the teachers that have taken this course have also, many of them have gone on to have their own personal pregnancy and birth journey. And I've had such positive feedback from those women about how just engaging with this course has given them a really potent experience through their own journey. So trusting, if that's you or it's going to be you, that this course has a real positive impact, not only on the women you share with, but on your own personal journey. So with that being said, I look forward to connecting to you. I look forward to journeying with you through this web of the sacred feminine, and to offering you all of my years of experience working with women, working with pregnant women, and you know, the beautiful space of sitting with pregnant women and literally imbibing their energy is really, really powerful. So namaste, and sending you lots of love from the beautiful rice fields of Bali where I live, coming from this very special Mother Earth energy of this land. Also really informs the work which I do. So I kind of bring a little of the magic of Bali with me. So Jai Ma, this is Jo signing off from Return to the Self. Namaste.